All right, welcome back for another edition of Live from Redhook here at the Function House. Our season's almost almost to the close.
Yep.
Our third season. So we'd like to welcome our very special guest this evening, Mr. Les Carbonell.
How you doing, guys?
Welcome to the
Thank you
show.
for having me.
Welcome.
It's a pleasure.
Welcome
being
to
here.
Redhook.
You don't come to
That's
Redhook
great.
often, do you?
No, not at all.
You should check it
It's
out. There's a
crazy.
lot of cool places around here. Besides
Like
this one.
I don't
Yeah.
know. You have another one like this somewhere? I want to check it out.
So what's up, my man?
Music, hopefully. This not just here, but this weekend coming up on Friday. You know.
Got a big gig on,
Yeah, it's
on
pretty big. Pretty decent.
Analog, right?
Yeah, it means a lot. It means a lot. 6 hours for me is something that I normally do on my own
Yep.
at home.
Oh,
It's
you're playing
usually
6 hours straight.
open to close.
Oh,
So I
that's
get
great.
to, you know,
There's
I
a
get
lot.
to
There's a
play
lot
and
of
expand.
DJs that are playing open to close now. They don't want no openers. They want to play the whole night, which is cool.
Yeah, New York, had a bad habit of having like 5-6 DJs. and
Yeah.
nobody can
DJs
explore.
playing 1 hour.
Yeah, it really can't explore
You can't.
who that DJ is or what they're trying to say. That's
N-
tough.
New York's in a tough state right now with all these clubs closing. Like Cielo's closing. Now Output is closing.
It's
Yeah, what do you think of that?
well, Cielo for me was or has been and will always be like my second home. And walking into that booth, I got a few opportunities to play there.
Yep.
And it's just it feels like home. That booth, the crowd,
the sound
energy.
system in that booth
Unbelievable.
is better than
It's-
sound systems in in clubs.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's like I never turn down the booth monitor. People could talk to me, just scream. No, I'm not turning it down.
And that room is probably, sounding wise, is probably one of the warmest
Yes.
sounding rooms ever.
It's like acoustically, it's like perfect.
Perfect, yeah.
It is because I don't know, everything sounds better than what you've heard before.
Yep.
So if you mess up, you can hear that too. So don't mess up because it's so clear. So you got to stay on point. And the fact that you mentioned Output, I found out this morning. I got out of work.
Yeah,
I
so
was
did
just
I.
like, no, you got to be joking.
Yeah,
This is crazy.
yeah.
You know.
It's kind of bittersweet. I think it's not. I don't think it's a good thing, but it's like one of those things where they're leaving at like the top of their game, as a club, right? I mean, they started in 2013 and like.
But they're definitely gonna open up somewhere.
They have to.
I'm sure they
their
will.
brand is so strong, like the name Output.
Yeah.
That whole thing is so strong. I think they could open up anywhere.
Very much so. I mean, those guys know what they're doing.
Yep.
It's just, the way, neighborhoods fluctuate and the way real estate has fluctuated. We don't know. I don't know exactly
Yeah.
why, but for whatever reason it is, it's a loss for us, but it's hopefully a gain for another area to prosper, in the dance culture.
I'm sure you'll see other pockets opening up
I
somewhere.
hope so.
So let's talk more about you as a DJ. You've been in this game a very long time.
Yes,
You're from the Bronx.
from the Bronx, yeah.
So how'd you get
Great.
into this crazy world of DJing?
Wow. I was actually 15, so it's 23 years. No, 33 years now. I'm 43.
Okay.
Then what's that? 20-something years? 24?
It's a lot of years.
Yeah. Whatever it is. I was surrounded by hip-hop and reggae. I mean, like, everything. Especially in the South Bronx. It was just like I moved to the area that I moved into from the South Bronx. And that's when it hit me because not only did my parents always have music playing in the house every weekend, my mom, as Latin mothers do, they play music while they clean or cook or do whatever they're doing at home.
Yep. So you were infused
Yeah,
at a young
it was-
age.
It was a lot of music. They both had their own record collection, my mom and dad. So it was just like,
They didn't touch each other's records.
no,
right?
no, they didn't. It's the weirdest thing. But they would give each other records, but they won't exchange them again. Like they won't swap anymore. So once she got a record from dad, that was hers and couldn't come back. But that was a big influence. My parents and the music playing in the house. And of course the neighborhood. And
Yeah, the Bronx was so influential
It was
in
everything.
so many different music scenes.
It was everything.
hip hop, house music. You have some really big house music
What
guys.
age were you when you got to the Bronx?
I was 6.
Okay.
I was 6 years old. South Bronx, like where they filmed Beat Street and all that.
Yeah.
Prospect, Union.
So were you into graffiti and all that
yeah,
stuff?
all that
Break
stuff.
dancing?
Yep. Yep. All that. And I'm not saying it because it was popular. I'm just saying that's what we were.
That's what you grew
That's
up
what,
in.
That's what it
Yeah.
was. So
Yeah.
The same way kids are now, whether it's collecting sneakers or whatnot. That's what we were into then. It was the music.
Yep.
It was the dancing. It was the bombing. And if you could get away with it, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, there were other things going on because it was a pretty tough era. But
Yeah.
I mean, the music saved a lot of lives.
Yep.
You know, it really did. It kept me in check. It kept me at home and not outside with the mess.
So growing up in the Bronx, it was probably all hip hop for a while. So,
Yeah, most-
so there had to be like a couple DJs or someone who inspired you to go into
of
the
course.
house scene. Who were those DJs?
Because of my sister, my older sister, you know, the rule was that my sister couldn't go out unless she took me along with her, since she was the older one, but she had a little brother. Luckily, I was tall and lanky.
Uh-huh.
So 12, 13, I kind of like stretched out. I was at that awkward phase, but she wouldn't want to take me, but my mom said, yeah, you got to go. You got to take your brother with you. So she had friends who were into the dance music, which you know came from the disco and stuff like that, and I had already heard a lot of disco, like I said, from my parents playing music and all kinds of music too. And the hip hop, I brought that home. But the dance music vibe was my sister because of freestyle and Mic-Mac, Fever,
Yeah.
Cutting Records and all that at the time. And then she took me to this pub. It was like a pub bar, a little lounge, kind of like this, but like 2 floors. And it was called Side Street. And I didn't know who was playing. I didn't know what that was about. She just brought me in because she had friends there. And I looked old enough, I guess. And it was Little Louis Vega playing.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know that, but yeah. And then I was like, but where's the DJ? Where's the guy playing the music? Where's that coming from?
Up in the corner somewhere.
Yeah,
right?
and it was up against the wall in the corner. And he had 4 turntables. And I was just like, what? What is this? What is he doing? You know? And he was commanding 4 turntables with his mixer in the middle. And I just didn't understand how can that be done. And it's all at once. And then bringing it in and out. Now that I know he was bringing it in and out. And
So that just
crazy.
pulled you right
I went
in.
home and I told my dad, I saw this and that. Where did you go? I went, oh, no, it was a friend. He told me about it. But that was a big, like, whoa, for me. It was a wake-up call because I was just always listening to music. I come from hip-hop, rock, heavy metal, all that stuff.
So how did that transpose into getting your first set of turntables and buying music? Like
My
how
dad, he used to be the guy who would play music at his friends, like little get-togethers and house parties, and 2 turntables, and I think there were 15 tens or
12
Technique
tens,
something.
yep.
They were really, straight arm, belt driven.
Oh,
but they had
okay.
a pitch control. I remember that because he gave me one, and
was it like the little?
yeah, the little
Oh,
two,
yeah.
the
Yeah,
two little
yeah,
round
yeah,
knobs
yeah,
that
yeah.
stuck out.
Techniques though,
Yeah,
right?
Technique.
Yeah, I
had the
remember
same
those.
ones, the 200s, Technique 200s.
Yeah,
They had like a little
Yeah.
small ass pitch control.
Yeah,
And
I remember those.
the other one was a Pioneer belt-driven piece
If
of.
you learn how to mix on those when you got 1200s, you were a professional.
Oh,
about
forget it. There was just like you had to let the record leave like a little earlier
Yeah.
so that it can
because
catch
it had
up.
the
Yeah,
momentum
yeah.
of like, whoa, okay. It was, honestly, that's how I learned. A lot of people think I just came from this because of the software and being that they hadn't seen me develop into what I am today and how I use the equipment today. But that's what was out there.
Yeah.
I built my speakers, like
Yeah.
bought the mixer at a pawn shop. And it was a 2-channel Gemini piece of crap, but it was good.
Yeah.
It worked.
It worked, and I had 1 speaker and 7 records, and little by little, I just,
But that was the beauty of it,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
You know, and just playing those
That was my
same
favorite.
mastering
And
the
mastering the ones you
mixes
had.
of those records,
B-side.
and then getting those new records. It was just like, that was the exciting part about the whole thing.
That was
You know?
that was so sweet though. That
Yeah.
was just like it built the library, and it was like, you know how you have muscle memory, and it was more like a feel memory for the vinyl. Like you would
Yep.
touch it, and you just knew that was coming in, and you know how much longer you had before you could actually throw it in. And
Yep.
And you could
It
see the
was-
grooves in the record
no,
of where
it
you're
was-
picking
it
up the
was the
needle and
best.
putting it.
It
Yeah.
was the best. I still couldn't touch my dad's records and mess with that because he still had records that were made of acetate. Remember
Yep.
those?
Yeah.
And they smelled, and he was like, "No, you can't touch my records."
Well, they wear out easily, the acetate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why he was like, "Nope, you can't touch that."
Yeah.
It's come a long way.
So your dad wasn't a DJ though. He just
But
used to play records.
Played music. Yeah,
He'd play
he
music.
would bring those records that he would have if there was.
So he was a DJ. Then.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
I posted a picture not so long ago on Throwback Thursday on Instagram, and it was him just. It was like 78, and that's what he was doing.
Yep.
So he never told me that that's what he did. I found out, the older I got, I used to do that. And I was like, really? What? I didn't know. And he did.
So where'd you used to buy your records?
It's funny because I used to have to walk to where I would buy them. So it was about like 10 minutes from my house.
Yep.
By the time I was that old, I wasn't living in the South Bronx. I moved over more closer to like the East Bronx, which
Okay.
is 167th. It's like 3 blocks from Bronx River, where you already know Bronx River, Zulu Nation.
Yeah.
And I got there in '89, and by like '92, I had already gotten my mixer and one turntable, and then the Pioneer crap. But it was good though because it taught you discipline. And
Yep.
then I would walk to SOS, DJ Specialty Shop, and that's where I met Hector Romero, which back then was Baby Heck, and
Yep.
I didn't, knew. I was just like getting records that I heard on the radio from like Glenn Frischer playing and all that stuff. So I just used to
He
bring
worked at the
Walkman.
record store, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had the record pool, but I was not good enough or never had enough gigs to actually get down with that. But I bought my records. He would.
Oh, so
like-
Heck had a record pool out of the store also?
Yeah, like he was the guy in charge of it. I mean,
wow.
Yeah.
from what I remember, yeah, it was that was the thing. It's just like save up my allowance and just go and buy records.
I remember back in the day, like the premier record pool to get into was For the Record.
Oh man,
That was like,
if you got that means you were working.
yeah.
You were working.
And it was funny because when I was in my senior year of high school, I interned at Sony Music for Epic
Wow.
Records. And the lady that worked there, that I was working for, she was head of dance promotions for Epic Records. And she had all the hooks with all the record pools. So she's like, "Oh, you in a record pool?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "All right." She's like, "We're going to get you in a record pool."
God.
So I'm like, and she's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Let me call the lady at For the Record."
Oh my God.
So she calls them, and now I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm going to get into For the record pool, right?" But they were like, "No."
They know.
They were
Hey,
like,
did you have to
you
fill
know,
out that form?
you had to like, they're like, "We need to see that you're playing at all these
Yeah.
places," and I'm like, "Oh, I wish
it
it
was
was
all
going to be that
promos.
easy, you know."
It was
But they
mostly
had
promos.
that was like the
Yeah,
record
man.
pool because it had the biggest DJs out of
Anybody
the
who
tri-state
If you weren't
area.
in that record pool, you had to go to the record store
To
and
the
make
record store.
friends
Yeah.
with those DJs that were running those stores because they'd put stuff aside for you. You know,
Or
I
you'd be
remember
calling
that.
the labels like to try to get on their
All the
promo
time.
lists.
all the
to
time.
get on there.
And no, who are you? No, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just got the number. I could try.
Yep.
Now your inbox is flooded with tracks from
Oh
people.
man,
Yeah.
it's a blessing,
Yeah.
for me now because I took a while off after my daughter was born, and it was 8 years. I was doing pretty well. I was still giving out demos, back then, and then I gave out a demo to who was it? Ziggy. He was doing Cheetah, and this is a way after 15, so it was just like 19, 20, and this guy was spinning a Cheetah on Sundays, and I opened up for Merit one time, but it was based on what you were capable of doing. If they liked your sound, they did what they could as far as
Yeah.
promoters were, but now it's social media is involved. And
Yeah.
it helps, but
Well,
you
how active are you on social media?
I should be more active.
Yeah.
My schedule's crazy, but I should be more active, and I'm really, really surprised and humbled by the fact that I've gotten as far as I've gotten, honestly, as at least in the tri-state area, and now more so Miami, that I gotten a chance to fly out there more and play more. But promoters now and promoters in the past, like Rob Fernandez, they gave me some opportunities.
Right. So you know what that means.
Yeah.
You're not super active on social media, so people are gravitating to how you really play as a DJ.
Exactly. So I just hope I just don't fall by the wayside, because I've got stuff that I've produced but I haven't released, and don't know whether or not that I don't have faith in myself, but I don't know whether or not it's done. Is it finished? I'm not there yet, but as far as the aesthetics go, as playing, I don't know. I just love playing, man.
Yeah.
I'm really blessed because I play more than I've made music, so, and that's my favorite. So.
You know what? You just got to put it out there. I was watching. There's a show on YouTube. It's called The Blueprint. Have you ever seen it?
I caught an episode one time.
So they interview the guy from the head of marketing at Complex. It's his show, and he interviews all these different people like Angie Martinez and DJ A-Track, and they basically tell their stories. And Angie Martinez was saying, she's like, you got to be junk first before you're good. You know what I'm saying? And you got to fall on your face first, and so with your tracks, even if you're not comfortable with them, just put them out there, man.
That's what my manager keeps telling me.
just put them out there. You're not great right out the gate.
Right.
But they might. I haven't heard them. I'm sure they're great. But I'm saying that's how you do. You just get them out there, and then just over time they get better and better and better, and that's it. Just do it.
I would love to. I just time is of the essence for me, because it's just a full-time job, my family, and the music is an escape.
Yep.
Not from that I need to escape from anything, but it's more of what balances me.
Yeah,
out.
of course.
So production-wise, I'm my worst critic. So it's I'll start something and just get so heavily on it that I just I don't know. I'll come back.
Everybody's like that.
Yeah, everybody's like that.
Yeah. Everybody's like that.
It's I don't know.
It's tough.
I see some of these amazing guys, these producers, they churning them out. I'm like, you're a machine, bro. You're a lab rat, dog. How do you do that?
They spend all day in the
I
studio.
know.
Yeah.
I'm not only do you see it on social media, but it's that they're in there and they're just
Yeah, there's people that just wake up and they treat it like they're in the studio all day.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful
I
thing,
mean,
though, man.
Yeah.
There's two guys that have been on Hector's show, Harry Romero and Joski. And if you listen to their tracks, man, after we had Joski on the show, I went just listening to his music.
Yeah.
Beasts.
Yeah,
what
he's doing with Maya is, and it's when you play a Joski record, there's a signature sound.
It's got a sound, yeah.
But they're so good.
Every single one. It's not this one was okay. No, it's you gotta have it.
But those guys have been producing for 30 years.
Harry, jeez.
You know what I'm saying? 30
when he was
years.
Yes.
Yes.
Harry, bro.
Yeah, man. Even when he was in the early days, his tracks were so good.
Amazing.
And it's just over time,
crazy.
once you master the tools that you're using, he'll have an idea in his head and he knows exactly how to put it to paper.
Those dudes.
And that's just time.
Right, and that's the influence. If you could, see that, and that's what kind of drives me, not kind of, but drives me to say, if they can, why not I, but I have to find the time.
What equipment are you using? What do you use in the studio?
Ableton, and I might do Pro Tools. It's just I had a good conversation with someone, and they got me over to that side. So I'm just getting myself ready for that, because it's like switching, like he said, it's like switching from a PC to a Mac or a Mac to PC. That's the only difference. But there's a certain sound to what you can do with Pro Tools that's just okay, this is this is heavy stuff, you know.
Yep.
But it's as easy as the software is to use. It's kind of like
Yeah, no, I mean,
a
you
lot.
know,
It's a
like
lot.
Find all that software hard.
it's,
Yo, it's
but
a lot. It's
you know what I've realized too, because like I'm like I was always one of those guys where it's just like I gotta have this and I gotta have that and I
Right.
gotta have, you know, and then you know you realize that you don't need like 10 million different things to do it. You just need that one piece and yourself, and you master that, and you can do
Yeah.
it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's what a lot of guys who try to get into producing sort of fall by the wayside, and I'll say myself included, is like you get caught up in the idea of all these things, of having all these things to do, and it's
Right.
just you
Well,
just got to
yeah.
like you skim
That's
it
a lot.
down, and it's just like you focus on that one thing, and you could make amazing. You know, you see what some of these people make with just their laptop
It's
and
crazy.
one piece of software,
It's true.
without all these different tools and outboard gear and all that other stuff. Like you can do it without all of that. You
Yeah,
know.
there's hits coming out with FL Studios.
Yeah.
Fruity
Right,
Loops,
right,
you
I
know?
mean, that's what Avicii used to produce all his tracks in.
Martin Garrix too. He
Yeah,
did
I
it in
mean,
his-
it's just like
right.
you know,
He did
like-
this.
16 years old.
you can do it. You know, you could do it, and I think that's that's what the challenge is. A lot of that we all face. You know, it's just
Yeah,
you get
man.
caught up in the in what's out there.
Yep.
You know?
And transitions, you know. We went from vinyl to CD, from CD to actual MP3s, from MP3 right to just the digital manipulation of software and sound, like
Yeah.
live. That was crazy,
What do you think's next?
bro. A chip in your brain, and then you just think it, and hopefully it'll sound good.
What made you make the transition over to Tractor?
Well, I got tired of burning CDs. A lot
Yep.
of people don't know that I've had turntables and CDJs and all that, but it freed you up to do a little more. It was more aesthetically pleasing than, to me, at least to me, than Serato, because I saw Serato and I was just like, wait, they're going up. I'm so used to looking at things going,
Left to right,
left
yeah.
to right. So it was like, okay. And then when I saw that, I don't know if I recall correctly if it was called Future Decks and by Native Instruments, and then that's the first thing I ever like actually did, like download, and I used it in mixing software. And then when I saw Tractor, I was like, oh wow, what? I barely scratched the surface now, and there's so
Yep.
much to do. But it just frees you up, because lugging around initially with the vinyl, I always had a bag with a set, my needles, my headphones in the car or wherever I was, whether I was out, there just might be an opportunity to play. I just had stuff ready. But it freed you up, and I used to take flight cases and CD bags, and then I was just like, damn, man, I want to be able to just like play. And then stuff like that came about.
Yeah.
I didn't like right away. It didn't happen right away. I just saw it. I was like, I gotta try this, man. I can't keep lugging this stuff around. But the USBs was cool. I
Yeah,
don't
the
mind that. You
USBs,
can
it's
still do that
amazing.
to this day. It's,
Yeah.
I mean, come on,
Going
man.
with your
64
keychain.
gig or whatever
Yeah.
it is, and then record box, and it's like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing, man. It's as long as it frees you to do what you want to do, I'm with it, man.
I think one of the best features of Tractor, which somebody told us about, is the ability to push through the track on beat. So if
Exactly.
you want to get to like the middle of the
You jump,
track,
you just jump.
you could jump. That's an unbelievable feature.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And you could set the bars on the skip, right? Like
Yeah, you could cue stuff up, prior to what you want to do, depending on what, like you could have loops set up and cue them up on a button, depending on what controller you have. And it's just like there's remixes, and it's just like a whole bunch of stuff that you get to do without turning around. And
Yep.
I mean, I love vinyl, and I love playing it. But that's, to be honest, it's like I love doing that. It's a personal thing for me,
Yeah.
because there's so much that comes with my vinyl collection and what it means to me, that it's like I don't mind sharing it, but it's more of a and just play. But with this, it's like I can perform and I can do it for self, but performing with this is I think is great.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Frees you up, man. You
Yeah.
can be artistic, like really on the fly.
Yeah.
It's my favorite part.
So this gig you're playing at on Friday, I guess let's just jump into that, talk a little bit about that. So Man versus Drums is a party that was started by Adrian Hoda.
Yes.
It's been going on for a couple of years now, right?
Years now, yeah.
He's had different DJs who are on that tribal tip. I know Hector played one. Saliva Commandos has played one.
He's awesome.
This is going to be the final Man versus Drums for the season, right? So talk to us about this party and
Well, like I said, it's a 6-hour open to close.
Yep.
The longest I've ever played professionally is 4 hours, and that was like, spontaneous. That was after the Elro party, the open air party over the summer, and then the after party was at Analog, which is great.
Yep.
And I got to play there. I started off with Sante, and then he had to go, and then I just stayed playing, and it was like 5:30 in the morning. And from that 4 o'clock to like, it was crazy. 9:30 in the morning, man. And then getting to do this now and going back and starting from beginning to end, it's a blessing, man. I get to play for 6 hours. I love that.
There's something about those hours, 4:30 to 9:30.
Yeah, it's
People talk about those parties forever.
Yeah.
Those are the ones where, my thing is, to be honest, is like people, when you go out, because I'm a dancer first,
Yep.
DJ second, so I try my best to like express myself as a dancer through music.
Sure.
So it's, people are going to remember the beginning, the middle, and the end. You just got to make it happen. You know what I mean? You make it happen from the beginning to the middle, all the way to the end. It's got to be an arc somewhere. Just like movies, there's an arc to a story.
Yep.
It's serious, there's an emotion, and
Yeah.
there's a give and take. So as a DJ, I think you should be able to do your best to command the room,
Yeah.
read the crowd, make them feel something that they can remember and go home with. You know what I mean?
So a gig like this, do you actually spend time making folders and stuff like that, or do you just bring your computer and you're just going off the vibe in the room?
Well, for this, it's this one's not that the others weren't meaningful, but this is very meaningful. I got the opportunity to really express myself, and it's got a big following. It's well respected. Other DJs that I respect have like really great DJ producers that played it.
Yep.
Friends of mine, and super talented guys that if I don't do the service of actually taking out the time to set something up, but not constricting myself to that particular folder or that.
Yep.
It's just a broad spectrum of what I would want to play that gives off that man versus drum vibe. Also myself in there.
So you can pivot
exactly
to your different flavors.
because that's what I do. I don't. I'm known for my soulful and Afro sound, but if I couldn't call myself a DJ. That's all I played.
So are we going to get a little taste tonight of what the upcoming Man vs. Drums is going to be like?
Yeah, we're excited to hear you play, man.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. This is great, man.
All right, so we're going to get you up. We're going to take a 2-minute break.
Awesome.
And we're going to get Les Carbonell up on the set.
Thank you.
Peace.
Peace.
Later.